Hello, dear colleagues. I'm glad to have you here. This is Equality Engineering Community Day 2023, which is conducted by the Global Testing and Pro-Quality communities. We are happy to see all of you with us. My name is Alexander Panchenko. I'm working on the position of Software Testing Manager at EPAM Systems Lithuania. And today I will be your moderator during the session. Dear audience, reminding you that you can leave your questions both on YouTube chat and on the StreamYard platform, depending on where you are watching the conference. In case you will have the questions after the session, you can address them to Discord. The speakers will answer them definitely after their sessions. Also, please note that this session is being recorded and all of the recordings will be available in a week after the session. And now I want to introduce our today's speakers, Nadzeya Hancharova and Kateryna Shepelieva, with the topic Convert Client Interest into Specific Capabilities. When we were prepared for the conference, I asked our speakers to tell me an interesting or funny fact about them. And Nadzeya said that she is now living in a city where she was never before. And Kate said that she can sing. Maybe at the very end, we can see that. How are you feeling today, girls?
Good.
I'm a bit nervous, actually, but it's fine.
That is okay. That is okay. Thank you for having you today. So I know that you both, let's warm up our audience with a small talk. And I want to say that I know that you both like traveling, don't you?
That's true.
Okay, Nadzeya, I know that you like testing and you have a passion. You like Turkish cereals. Could you tell us how those passions will be combined into your next trip?
Well, yeah, this hobby could be embarrassing for someone else, but not for me. And yeah, I'm going to visit the heart of Turkey, the Istanbul city, with my dear friends to spend time there and be like in atmosphere of the Turkish movies.
Oh, this is great. We wish you good luck in your next trip. Ekaterina,
Thanks.
you were in a Santa Claus village recently. What did you ask from Santa Claus for your next Christmas?
Well, it was not that recently, frankly speaking. It was, I think, about 5 years ago.
Oh,
And the whole conversation took about 30 seconds because there were other people in the line waiting to see the Santa Claus. So he asked us, I was together with my husband, he asked us what country we are from. And when we answered, he pronounced a couple of phrases in Ukrainian. I think he congratulated us on the upcoming New Year. And that was it. Then we left.
I see. Nadzeya, I know that you know JavaScript and Java languages, and besides that, you know Italian. So what was harder for you, to learn Italian or to learn programming language? What do you think?
Well, actually, taking into account that currently I can speak English but cannot write code in Java, just understand it, definitely my answer would be Italian language.
Okay. And Ekaterina, the last question for you. Which expectations do you have from today's conference?
Mm, well, first, I'm glad that we are first in agenda, as we will have almost the full day free after that. And I have a number of interesting topics on my calendar, so hope to find out something interesting and useful there.
Okay, so I'm ready to hear what you prepared for us today. So wish you all the best for so your expectations come true. Please take the floor. It's all yours, and please proceed with your presentation. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sash. Okay, I hope you all can see our screen. So as Alexander already mentioned, we would be talking about converting client interest into specific capabilities. And just for the start, a couple of more words about ourselves. My name is Kateryna Shepelieva. I'm from Ukraine. At the moment, I am playing a role of Accessibility Testing Competency Center head. And overall, in IT, I have 14 years of experience. Adam?
Yeah. So talking about myself, my name is Nadzeya Hancharova. I have been working for PAM for about 11 years, and currently my focus is in accessibility testing, and my role is accessibility test manager in testing as a service project. Let's talk a little bit about today's agenda. So at the beginning, we will have a couple of words about accessibility. What is it for those who are not familiar with this topic? Then we will explain how we process client requests and provide several examples on how we exactly do this. At the end, we will share additional information that might be helpful for you. And small disclaimer here, all information that we will share today is based on our real experience as an accessibility testing competency, but information will be useful as for you as a foundation for processing client requests by test managers or starting new departments. We will use several terms during our presentation, and for those who are not familiar, let me clarify them. So, the first one, capability, is ability or qualities necessary to do something, and service is assistance or advice given to customers. So, W3C director and inventor of what World Wide Web said, the power of web is in its universality. The access by everyone, regardless of disability, is an essential aspect. It means that web or mobile application should be accessible for everyone, and users who are mentally or physically challenged should have equal possibilities. There is a number of disorders types, such as visual, hearing, motor, mental, and also disabilities type can be defined using, let's say, timing. For example, permanent disability for person with one arm. Temporary disorder could be broken arm, and situational one for parents with a kid. So you can see that accessibility can be actual for any of us in specific life conditions. That is why accessibility is a direction that becomes more and more popular nowadays, and there is a lot of news around it. A number of legal requirements and standards are specified in different countries.
Right. As Nadia said, demand on accessibility is really growing because this direction is now a part of global trend of inclusion and social responsibility. This is confirmed by our experience, increasing number of related interests from clients we are receiving, also global statistics, multiple articles, including those that are on the slide. When we just started providing accessibility services, our primary capabilities were related to application assessment and ongoing testing to support new feature development. Now we keep receiving more and more client requests related to accessibility. Mostly they are communicated in, let's say, business language. So we need to ensure we understand our potential and existing clients correctly to be able to address their needs in the best possible way. But how can we translate this business language and match it to specific capabilities we have? The key is to ask the right questions, which would help us convert initial requests into exact services. A couple of main points we clarify at this stage. Why client decided to ask about accessibility right now? What was the reason of what they want to achieve? Most popular groups of answers here, either client received some external request or even requirement for this, like from their business partner, parent company, or potential customer, or clients want to ensure better user experience and usability for more people, including physically and or mentally challenged users. Another key factor, at least for our discipline, is maturity of the team and their familiarity with accessibility. And of course, budget limitations, if any, may help you understand what would be a better fit. One more note here, questions which affect scale and estimations, like type and complexity of application, configurations, coverage, and so on, do not directly influence a list of services we would suggest, so they can be skipped at this stage.
So on the previous slide with Kate, we got a clear understanding on how to define client requests, and now we can work on addressing it. So let's start with positive case when we do have experience to satisfy client needs. So the actions here, you just easily match client requests to existing ones or combine several services. In case you don't have ready to go to service to complete this task, you still can do it because you already have this experience. And of course, you can adjust your service to the client request. Other case is when we have partial experience. Here we are two ways to act. First of all, we would need to define what exactly we know and what is missing. By the way, about missing strategy, we will talk about on the next slide. Another situation is when we don't have experience. It might happen, but don't worry. We will have ready solution for you. This is also a defined missing experience, and we will discuss it later. So uh, it might happen that we do not provide such a service intentionally. And in this case, we can easily decline request or suggest alternative options. Um, Talking about other competencies, if we know for sure that request might be successfully provided and uh, by another competency, we can forward it to this competency. So here also we can forward it or work together with a specific competency together. And this is a corner case when we don't know what type of expertise is required. So I think it is clear for everyone that here we would need to perform some research and clarification and back to the client with our findings. So let's talk a little bit about situation when we have partial experience and how exactly we define missing experience. First of all, of course, educate team and research. It could be some networking inside the company or surfing internet to find external materials. Another way is to perform discovery with a client, to dive deeper in the client processes, project technology, And he also presented the point when we forward the request to another competency when we know for sure that it is of our scope. Let's back to a discovery phase with a client. Here we can uh, outcome with several points. The first one is to provide client with the findings and partially reject request. And the positive one, create new service based on newly gained experience. In this case, we will of course educate the team to provide the wider possibility to the wider client, and vice versa. Educating team, we will provide a new service.
Yeah, thank you, Nadia. So let's have a look at a couple of examples on how exactly we are processing client requests so that we know what services might fit and how we should proceed. Let's start with the very generic case for our discipline. It is application assessment, and having a look at our options that Nadia showed you. In this case, definitely we have experience because it is one of our main capabilities. And speaking of assessment, it would be the situation when we are just matching assessment and this particular request to existing service. At some point of time, we received a request to process a client request in a different way. It was a rapid assessment instead of just regular one when client wanted to have a look at the very high level results. And we didn't have this service as a ready to go, but we understood that we definitely have that capability, and we processed this particular case in a bit different way. It is the point number 2 in this list. Another request, let's say the client is interested in certification. Again, our BIS, and we are deciding that in this particular case, we do not provide such a service intentionally because we made this decision. But of course, in this case, we can provide the client with alternative options. For example, again, speaking about our discipline, it would be an industry standard compliance report, which would represent the current state of things for accessibility of particular version. And that is a good option that many clients select. And one more flow to show you, it is automation of accessibility services. Many clients, or let's say some clients, want to integrate accessibility verifications into their continuous integration process. And let's have a look at this example because the flow here would be a little bit different. In this case, we understood that we have a partial experience at some point of time when we just received this request for the first time, because we definitely had a lot of automation specialists at EPAM, and at the same time we had accessibility experts, but we didn't quite have a good amount of people who would know both. So we understood that we need to define a missing experience here, and how exactly we decided to proceed in this case. Out of our 3 options that you already saw, of course, it is educate the team in this particular situation. And once that was done, once we had an understanding of what would be an optimal approach for providing service of automating accessibility to our clients, based on this newly gained experience and information, we decided to proceed with creating a new service. And that is something that we are currently suggesting to our clients. Similar flow was for experts review. At some point of time when we received a request to provide that capability to our services, it was like some additional technical recommendations. Again, we had some missing experience, but we were able to educate the team and start providing that service as well. Keep in mind that you may create new services not only as a result of related client requests, your own ideas or market research or global trends and so on may also trigger these alternative flows. As a result, you may either just go and create a new service and start providing it as a part of your sales offering, or try some free or not demo. Or some sort of pilot project with the client, of course, if they are interested in that capability. And we did this for testing by focus group representatives. It seemed like an obvious activity for accessibility competency, though we didn't have such requests from our clients. But after a free demo as a teaser to some clients and positive feedback we received, we understood that it can be integrated into our sales offering, and it is now a part of it.
So we reviewed our action plan and strategy and now know how to act in different situations. Next step is a conversation with a client on proposal package. To make decision on what would be optimal set of services which would perfectly fit particular case, keep in mind monumental points that are significantly important to the client: goals, milestones, team, and budget. Kate and I believe that following information might be actual to you, so let me share several recommendations for beginners within some competency or direction. Please pay attention to collect necessary documents and artifacts that might be useful for your journey. Prepare sales offering deck in advance in order to have ready to go solution for pre-sales calls. Do not forget to create case studies to confirm and illustrate your existing experience and work you have done. Analyze your daily frequent activities and optimize where it's possible. Time you would have save could be spent on inventing something innovative and incredible. Good example here that we analyzed that it takes extra time to perform estimation on testing, and sometimes it is not clear for delivery manager and account managers how and who can help them with it, with estimations. And we decided to optimize this activity by creating ACE, cost and effort calculator. The solution currently is under construction, so if you are interested in details, please contact us. And in the beginning of your journey with a new competency, you will probably be flexible and adjust your proposal to specific client needs. But when you will work with a big quantity of requests, you will need to create some kind of packages with pricing, approximate scope, activities, and deliverables to have possibility provide client with approximates, for example, price range versus capacity. And finally, do not be scared to try. As Arkady Dobkin said, do not be afraid to change your strategy if you see that it doesn't work.
Okay. As a takeaway from this talk, we prepared a flowchart for you, which illustrates a sample framework based on our experience of matching non-technical client requests to practical approaches your team is capable of providing. We already tried this particular flow on many cases, on many requests and services. It worked for us, so hopefully it might be applicable for your situation as well. And as Nadzeya mentioned in the very beginning, it is not only for some competencies or new departments. If you are test managers and we are in a managerial stream, most probably at some point of time, or maybe you already had such cases, you may receive a client request on adding something new to your current test strategy, and hopefully deciding on how to proceed and showed on our example and in this flow chart may help you be prepared to such situation. And some behind the scenes, we were working on this talk preparation, and we decided to make a mind map for our convenience. Maybe it would be useful and interesting to check for you as well. So it's on the slide, and also we are here showing a photo of some of our team members who are also contributing to accessibility competency activities. They are passionate about accessibility, and that makes our work, Nadzeya's and mine, much easier and more interesting. Thank you all. Thank you, guys. And that was actually it. We decided to leave quite a time for questions. So if you have anything to ask right now or offline, here are our emails. We would be glad to answer anything that you heard today during the talk or anything else, actually. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you. Alexander, passing word to you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for the great presentation. We have one question at our WEA community platform, and I will announce it right now. Hello, Nadzeya and Kateryna. My name is Tatiana Prozorova. I would like to enter IT. My question is, aren't customers bothered if lots of questions come from the product IT company? Do you have conference calls with the customers, or do you organize any video conferences between the development teams and your customers? So there are two questions. So you can I can repeat it once again if you want, but you can answer one by one then.
Okay. Probably I can start. I got the question, and Nadia, feel free to add anything. Let's start from the question whether clients are bothered receiving too much requests from us when we are trying to clarify things in order to provide better services, if I understood the question correctly. From our experience, I would say that clients actually appreciate us asking questions, and this usually happens on the calls because they understand that we do not just suggest some generic thing that we just suggest to everyone, but we want to make our services adjusted to their particular needs. And by asking these questions, they realize that indeed whatever would be provided to them as a service by us would perfectly fit their interest, goals, and so on. So probably, yeah, if we just had this somewhere in the email thread, maybe that would be too much text to share, but we prefer to organize a conference call where we would be clarifying all those details. And that usually works for us. Nadia, what do you think?
Yes, I totally agree with you. So the goal of the client to make us better understand their request, and this is actually our goal too.
Yeah.
Thank you for your answer. But if you don't mind, I will ask some of my questions as well. Tatiana said that she would like to enter IT, but I would like to ask you as accessibility professionals, if the tester who has some testing background want to enter, want to enrich his or her CV with accessibility, what should be the first steps for this tester to start this?
Nadia, would you like to comment on that?
Yes, sure. If we're talking about EPAM employees, we do have several educational programs, including crowd testing accessibility program, and also there is released a course on the e-learning platform, so easily go and search. Talking about external users, of course, they would need to have some knowledge. And one of the sources that I can recommend, this is the Q portal. They have the big course on accessibility, and yeah, passing this course, you might be even be certified accessibility tester.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you, Nadezhda. So we have one of the questions from YouTube chat from Lisa Klevtsova. So Lisa is saying, could you tell us more about ACE Calc, please?
Nadia, I see that you want to say something.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes,
let's
sure.
proceed.
So, as we mentioned during our presentation, the idea to develop this ACE accessibility cost and effort calculator was come up because we feel like lack, let's say, in this area. Of course, it will optimize our velocity on estimation and also help sales team and account and delivery managers. So basically, we plan to have a list of clear and simple input parameters related to accessibility, standard levels, and so on, and also specific parameters are related to configurations, different languages, that feeling that the user at the end will be provided with the approximate numbers of the pricing, let's say, and the capabilities needed to perform, let's say, assessment or ongoing testing. This is the first stage, and another stage is at the end, the user will be provided with pricing and capabilities for the whole development process, including development, design review, and everything.
And if I may add a couple of disclaimers. So first, of course, this output would be just for general understanding, and it should be clarified, confirmed with accessibility SME before proceeding. And one more thing, we performed a market research when we were preparing this idea of implementing this solution. And of course, some similar tools exist on the market, but unfortunately, they do not cover all of our needs and all of the parameters that we are actually interested in. And this returns us to the point of our talk, actually. So we had a slide when we were telling about the necessity of clarifying right questions with the client, because it helps us understand on how exactly we need to proceed. So in this case, yes, we want to cover as many points as possible without overloading the client with some unnecessary details, though. So it should be some balance. And as we didn't find such a solution on the market, we decided to invent it ourselves.
Thank you, Nadezhda and Kateryna, for your answers, and thank you, Lisa, for your questions. Dear audience, reminding you that we have both chat on YouTube and Q&A section at We Are Community platform, again, depending on where you are watching and using the platform. And today, YouTube audience, YouTube people are more active. One more question from our listeners from YouTube. Is there any accessibility standard guidelines that applies across all the industries? I mean, any standard like ISO?
Yeah, so the main standard in accessibility that we are working with is WCAG or VCAG. Um, you can Google and find the latest version of it, which is 2.1. 2.2 is currently in development, but not yet officially released. These guidelines represent a set of requirements, a set of success criteria, which mention what an accessible product should be like, what points should be successfully met in it, so that it could be used by as many people as possible. You might have heard of some other legal documents like ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, or Section 508, or some European acts or Canadian acts or whatever, depending on where your client is coming from. But all those things mostly mention that there should be no discrimination and that people with various disabilities should be considered in a web development as well. But how exactly that should be done, this is where WCG helps.
Mhm. Okay, thank you, Kateryna. Nadezhda, anything you want to add here?
Well,
Or Kate maybe covered everything.
yeah, I totally agree with Kate. The most common request we have from the client from different industries is to cover WCAG 2.1 level AA. But yes, still there are a number of standards that might be interested by the clients.
Thank you very much. And I was to pass thank yous from the people in the chat, in our YouTube chat, who asked both of the questions. So I express the gratitude for your answers. One more question from me. I'm interested, I'm curious to know, we all working with the clients, right? And sometimes we can bring to think about some good solution for our client and to bring the arguments, to bring the presentation or something like that. And if we brought some of the accessibility or other type of testing and we get pushed back, right? So I bet you for some times and for some reasons you can get some reaction. So what do you think? What could be the option to work with it?
I have an idea here. So probably we should have a closer look at the main reasons of why this or that testing type is being used and being performed in general. So there are reasons, right, why we are suggesting accessibility or security or performance. We are not doing that. We are not suggesting these testing types to the clients just because we have some capacity or we want to try it or something. We want to have an accessible product because there are people who wouldn't be able to use it otherwise. And also there are some legal penalties for that. We want to introduce, I don't know, security so that we ensure that our users are safe and their information wouldn't be stolen. We want to have performance testing because otherwise, if there is some promo campaign and a lot of users go to the website simultaneously, then the website just wouldn't work. So this is what we should mention to the client, what we need to highlight, the reasons, what is the benefit of introducing this testing type or other activities that you think is relevant, and what are the risks of not doing that. This is what I do.
Yes, I totally agree with Kate and wanted to share one case we had. So we had a client that we provided accessibility testing assessment, and we know for sure that the client is interested in, to proceed with accessibility, but no other actions was performed by the client, and we decided to provide client with such called promo service, a focus group testing, when the person who is blind was surfing the website and just completed several tasks. We provided the video and text transcript of these actions, and the feedback from the client was amazing. He said that it was eye-opening event, eye-opening service. He This event and results changed significantly the view of the client on the accessibility, and after that client opened two positions on the project for accessibility testers. Of course, we need to understand the reasons and do not be too pushy if we know that, for example, the client is out of the budget. So just postpone our conversation. But yeah, the positive cases we also have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
one more note, if I may. So for if we're talking about accessibility in particular, we once received feedback that this additional information, like details about how disabled people are working with an application, it was like eyes-opening experience for our clients because they haven't thought about that in the past, but when they saw evidence of how inaccessible their product is, they understood that really this should be considered as a part of their development process. So some good examples, some evidence might also help in convincing the clients.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for your answers. And I want to leave the last chance and make the last call for our listeners to ask the questions both on YouTube chat and on via community, because I do not see any new questions, only the answered ones. So in case we won't have any questions, I can remind our audience that you can address them to Discord after the session, and our speakers will connect there and answer the questions on their topic. So, Ekaterina and Nadzeya, how are you feeling now after everything is happened and your presentation happened?
Waiting for positive feedbacks. Yeah,
Waiting for the next topics.
yeah, this
Yeah.
too. I believe that this information was useful and could be applied during working activities for our participants, our listeners.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah,
the,
hope
the
so.
the whole reason why we are here is because when we were going through all of that, we were trying to figure everything out ourselves. So we collected our several years of experience in this flow chart that we demonstrated and explained. So hopefully you wouldn't have to go through all of this yourself from scratch, and hopefully this would be useful.
Mhm. Thank you. And as I expected, at the last minutes of our small talk, at the very end, one person also asked one of the questions. So this is again Tatiana, who asks the very first question. Have you ever come across any request from the customer, for example, working out certain application, that you were not able to fulfill due to linear lack of expertise is in the sphere? What did you do to satisfy customers' needs and not lose your reputation? Interesting question. Interesting and tricky one, I think.
Okay, I agree. Interesting question. I know that among participants of this conference, there are not only people from EPAM, so I assume there might be participants from some smaller companies, and for those situations, this question might be even more relevant because with limited number of um, employees and experts, it might be harder to find someone who can actually take client requests into work. Though, as we are working for EPAM, I must say that we have really a great community of experts, and people have very interesting and specific expertise in some, including niche business domains and so on. So for us, of course, we would take a pause and go and ask our colleagues to see if someone has experience which would be relevant, and most probably we would find someone who has it. So in our case, I wouldn't say that we really had such cases, such situations when we were unable to fulfill client requests in any way, just because we have that many people at IPA who can help with the initial ask. Though, in your case, if that happens to you, uh, there are several opportunities on how you may proceed. One of the options we actually demonstrated it on our slides is um, performing some discovery with the client. So it would be useful for both you and the client. So they want to achieve their goals, and you are working together with them to see how that may happen. And of course, you may educate the team in parallel while this discovery is happening, so that once it is done, you would be ready to work with the client, and you will already have some research results and analysis done, and you would understand how you may fulfill client needs.
Mhm. Okay, thank you very much. And I want to read one of the thank you messages from YouTube from Olga Samarova. This is our colleague. Thank you, ladies, for this really interesting topic. It was amazing. And I want to say that right now, 124 people are watching us. So thank you, ladies. That was the last question. Breathe in, breathe out. Thank you. And I'm encouraging you, dear listeners, I'm encouraging you to stay with us on this managerial stream and to wait until the next topic. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kateryna. Thank you, Nadezhda. Good luck. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Same to you. Have a
Thank
great
you.
conference, everyone. Bye bye.